Speaking of raising issues important to women, I now have the great pleasure of introducing our California Assembly Speaker, who's just finished what sounds like a very important and kind of wild legislative session, and maybe she'll talk to us a little bit about that. But to give you just a very brief biography, Toni Atkins has served in the State Assembly since 2010 and was elevated to the top leadership position in 2014. She began her public service in San Diego, and I love this, as Director of Clinic Services at Women Care Health Center, so she's got that great background and has brought that very well to bear on the work she's done in the Assembly on behalf of all of us. She's been a powerful advocate for women and a champion for veterans and homeless people. Prior to election as Speaker, she held the position of Majority Leader and chaired the Assembly Select Committee on Homelessness, served on committees on agriculture, housing, community development, and more. Very excited to have her here today to speak, and I'm honored to be able to introduce her, Toni Atkins.
Well, good afternoon, and Heidi, thank you so much. I have notes. I left my glasses in the car, so we're just going to hope this works. I am thrilled to be here in Auburn. This is actually my first time here. I couldn't help but be impressed when I drove past the statue of the miner. My dad was a coal miner, now, so he wasn't mining for gold, but for coal in Southwest Virginia. So I think about the work that we do as Democrats, the work that we do, certainly the Democratic clubs, and I am here today because the work you do is critically important on the ground. Each and every cycle, we need you doing the work that you're doing. You can get Heidi elected Board of Supervisor, and I'm thrilled to be here with Jennifer, and of course I'm always thrilled when I get to see our greatest constitutional woman officer in the state of California, Betty Yee. She is incredible. And you know, one of the reasons I love to talk about Betty is because as a grassroots organizer, she understands how important it is to work with every Democratic club throughout the state. That was her model to get elected as a constitutional officer, and she appreciates and she recognizes what you contribute. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to come, because, and I am just blown away to see how many people are here on a Sunday afternoon to really support Democratic politics, to support women in office. And I'm happy to be the third speaker, because then a lot of the data and the numbers and the statistics in terms of how we're doing have been presented. I am the third speaker, woman, female speaker. Karen Bass, when I became the speaker designee, she reached out to me and became a speaker mentor for me as a woman. And I really appreciate that. And I love the conversation about mentoring. I want to add one little piece to that, and then I'll quickly go through a little bit of what we've accomplished in the legislature because of the Democratic presence and because of the work that you do, because I think it's going to be really important for 2016. But mentoring is critical. My mentor, Chris Kehoe, who retired from the Senate a couple years ago, she didn't ask me to run. She told me I was going to run. And so, you know, I did. And but it's true. All of the things we've talked about, why women don't run, very complicated set of issues. But to be here and focus on that, particularly given the numbers. But I want to talk about something that I've learned recently called reciprocal mentoring. Now, we all spend time really focused on youth because we need to. This is about the future of our kids and our grandkids, and we need to, number one, have women in positions of power so young women can see that it is about them. We need to model that behavior, and so we need to step up so that we show our daughters and our granddaughters that they too can be the Speaker of the California State Assembly. They can be the controller. And we need to do that. I see a lot of people my age and older in this room, so I wanted to say one more thing. When I was 24 years old, running a community clinic in San Diego, I went to a lecture, or a luncheon, and one of the keynote speakers was a woman named Dr. Shirley Weber. She was on the school board. And I was 24, I'm now 53, so you can do the math. So all of these years later, Shirley is out of office. She is doing a great career at San Diego State University, taught there as a professor for 40 years. I asked her to coffee, and she came and she said, "It's good to see you." She thought I was going to ask her for money, which was good that she had that in mind. I said, "Oh no, I want way more than that from you. I want you to run for the state assembly because we need women and we need people with expertise in education. It's one of the biggest issues we face in this state." And she didn't talk to me for a month. But the point I make about this, she ran. She got elected because she's brilliant. She's a strong woman, first African-American woman south of Los Angeles to be elected to the state assembly. And so she gets there, and we do this round robin of meetings at one point, and she stands up and she tells this group of women in the orientation group that I was her mentor. Well, it blew me away because I did not see myself as her mentor. I saw her as my mentor. And so I looked this term up and I started to see that, you know, we mentor each other throughout our lives. And because women haven't had mentors, it was a business concept, if you think about it. It was a corporate business concept to have, to find mentors and to find people who would help you be successful in business. And so I think women were way behind in understanding that concept of reaching out at whatever age you are, younger, a little bit older, and even older, to find people who will mentor you and help you be successful. So I want young women running, but I want people. Shirley Weber is turning 68 in a couple of days. So I think there is a time and place where everybody has the ability to step forward and say, "I'm ready." And so I just want to leave you with that. I will tell you very quickly some things that we're really proud of being able to accomplish. And I want to connect the dots. You know, I come to this job, we all bring our stories, we all bring our experiences. I grew up without health care. My mom and dad, my dad was a miner, my mom was a seamstress. They worked harder than anybody I've ever met in my life, and yet they didn't have health insurance. And they didn't have paid sick days. So when I was in the hospital at age 12, my parents had to leave me there by myself, or risk losing their job, or not having paid sick days, so they needed the money. So those are hard things to have to choose as a parent, whether you're going to leave your child alone sick because you could lose your job. So we didn't have health care, we didn't have paid sick time, and we lived in substandard housing. I grew up in a house with no running water. We had an outhouse. Until my mother was 38 years old, she cooked on a wood stove. And we didn't do that for fun, to get back to nature. It was a way of life. So those are the values, the things that I did not have that I felt like people had a right to have, especially given how hard my parents worked. So, you know, I bring that to being in elected office, and I think each and every one of you brings stories of what you think is really important in terms of pay equity, access to health care, women's reproductive rights, access to education, so that all of our kids, I wouldn't be here had I not found a way to go to college, the first in my family to graduate. I found a way to do that, and I had the support to do that. I want that for every young person in California. Access is critically important. So what have we done in the legislature? You know, we had some big successes. I know the press loves to talk about what we didn't accomplish, and we do have stuff still to do. You know that. And when we get more Democrats elected in 2016, we'll be able to get some of these things done and not have it take so long and us have to go even further into. You can clap for that. We're going to get more people elected in 2016. What you do on the ground, and I started in a Democratic club. I was the executive vice president of the San Diego Democratic Club for years. And we turned San Diego County blue. It's still sometimes a little problematic, but we turned it blue. And that's what you do. And the connection of politics is about our values as Democrats. And we use those values and we use politics to get people elected so that the policies that we want to see changed, we can do. Like helping lift children out of poverty with our state-earned income tax credit. $380 million is going to raise 2 million families in California out of poverty or near poverty. It was incredible. We created more child care slots for working families up and down the state of California. More money for schools and higher education. Thank you for Prop 30. We have put billions more dollars into K through 12, into community colleges, and we are working every day to make sure CSU and UC is adequately funded. We have a ways to go, but we also want to make sure when we give that money to those universities and colleges that they're going to make a commitment to California students. And let me just be clear. We're at an all-time high for out-of-state and out-of-country students. So there's great cross-pollination of diversity in our universities and our colleges. All we are saying is that we want to make sure that now our students in California, your kids, your grandkids, have that opportunity to have a great education in one of our schools here. We saved the middle class scholarship program. We know that poor kids have a hard time. We have increased Cal grants and put more money into books and support, and we're going to keep doing that because we need to keep bringing it up. This is an expensive place to live, California. It's a great place to live, but it's also expensive. So we're going to continue to focus on our low-income kids, our poor kids who need access to education. The wealthy families have the ability, that's good, but the middle-class kids are really being priced out of a college education. So we saved the middle-class scholarship program, brought the tuition in half at some of our UCs and our CSUs. So the more Democrats we have in office, the more it's possible to work on these issues of income equity and health care for all, regardless of your immigration status. These kids and individuals are going to be in our hospitals, and it's going to cost 10 times more if we don't have preventative health care for families, and we're working on that. You know, and I will say, here in California, we have enacted the strongest pay equity bill in the nation, and the governor said even before it was out of the legislature, he was ready to sign it. Heidi mentioned, having come out of I was a clinic manager and director for 3 community clinics in Los Angeles and San Diego that did reproductive health services for women, including abortions. And I am so proud to say that while we see, unfortunately, an eroding of those rights throughout the rest of the country, California has continued each and every year to advance reproductive rights for women in California. And so I'm really proud of that fact. You know, when that Hobby Lobby decision said that a corporation can actually have religious beliefs and then hold sway over the bodies of their employees, or Citizens United, that decision helped bankroll dozens of anti-women candidates and initiatives, and we know that's true. We know that's their mandate. And so when we see people like the Koch brothers, and here in California, let's be clear, Charlie Munger, when we see these people bankrolling entire elections because they want to make sure that they're stopping all of those progressive politics and rights. And do we have any labor folks in the room? The quickest way to erode the middle class is to really hurt labor's ability to organize. And we are losing our middle class. And so to all the labor folks here, I just want to say thank you for your commitment, because it was the labor movement that finally brought my family out of deep poverty. And so I want to say thanks to them. We've talked about the percentage of women in elected office. You know, we are fortunate to have some incredible people, and I hope all of you are going to be helping Heidi in her next opportunity to run for the Board of Supervisors. You know, it's challenging and it's rewarding to serve, but the rewards are so great. And I have to say, when I think about all of the money that the Koch brothers are going to spend, all of that money is not going to help when it comes to the leather on our shoes. When we walk precincts, when we make those phone calls, when we talk to our friends, when we write those checks, whatever size, we know that we make a difference. We have made a difference. We made a difference when we passed Proposition 32 to allow labor unions to be able to organize. We made a difference when we supported Proposition 30 and we put money back into schools and allowed us to increase access to health care for Californians. We know that we can do all of that. I've mentioned a number of successes. Climate change. We are in the forefront in California, leading in this nation, but not just in this nation. We get invited to other countries Our governor, our president pro tem, Kevin De Leon, we had a little setback this week. But, you know, I really didn't like that it was presented as a negative as opposed to a positive in terms of what we did pass. And it is only a matter of time. We know that this is a long book, and there may be many chapters in that book. We know how it ends. We're going to continue to push forward. We're going to continue to make sure that we're fighting on every front for civil rights, for equal pay, for marriage equality, for a strong middle class, for jobs. And by the way, we've created more jobs in the last 3 years than any other state, including Texas. Our economy has come back. Our economy has come back. But we do need to be careful. We have a strong rainy day fund. We have a strong reserve. We're paying down debt so that as we go into that, and we are Democrats doing that, okay? We are Democrats doing that work. And so I want you to be proud and feel strong when you see what we're doing in California, because we are on the cutting edge. We are paving the way. We are making a difference. And so I came to Auburn because, number one, I want women elected. And I think it's really important that you're doing this program, and we do need to be working hard on that, particularly in 2016 in the legislature, because we will lose an opportunity with 12-year term limits, which is good. That's an advance for us in California, but it really, the power of incumbency really works against women and trying to get more women elected. So 2016 will be the last opportunity in the state legislature for almost 20 years to come with the power of incumbency. So we've got our work cut out for us in that regard, but I know that we can do it. But I came because I believe in what you do. I appreciate what you do. You've helped me be where I am because you're part of a network of clubs up and down this state that understands what it takes to make it happen. So I want to thank you for that, and I look forward to 2016. I look forward to coming back out and joining you as we turn the tide in 2016. Thank you.